Linda Shanahan, and I will be presenting from pandemic to endemic. This presentation was in one of my courses. I was doing a study on the transition services at our school. And it was really interesting because I had 4 professionals that I had asked questions about the transition services for our special education students. And the common thread that they had discussed was there was a real need for connection, involvement, communication, and participation. So it was a mixed method study. So I wanted to find out from parents what they felt. And very interesting, they felt the same way. And so I think it's definitely was something that was worth pursuing. But one of the teachers had told me that we are working back in order to move forwards. So I know that my school district isn't the same as everybody else. So we're all trying to move forward through the pandemic and working through the aftermath. So one of the things about building community and collaboration are some key words like networking and sharing, having meetings, problem solving. These are all very important concepts when we think about building community and collaboration. One thing is really important is to remember that we are all part of the team. So as you can see here in the chart here, that the person is our student or our client, our loved one, or it could even be you, the self-advocate. And surrounding this person is a team, child study team, guidance, family, close friends, counselors, mentors, agencies, a community of support, and organizations. So the first part of this presentation, I'm going to discuss with you about the community component, and then part 2 will be more of a leadership component as well. So let's take a look here at the first step is self-determination. So there was a study that there was a relationship between self-determination and quality of life. And this was sort of like an exploratory sequential type of study where one study would just build upon the other. So as you can see here, that the person who is the self-determined person is surrounded by empowerment, choices in goal setting, and preferences and interests. So the problem, or the research problem, I should say, was that quality life has always been based, especially with individuals with intellectual disabilities, as a strength-based approach. Self-determination really was never considered in quality life and well-being. For the person to be able to make their own decisions and to have that sense of independence. So the purpose of the study was to gain a better understanding of quality life and how it would relate to individuals with disabilities and how it connected with their self-determination skills. So quality of life can be broken down in different segments. So there's a framework. So this framework falls under social interactions, mental health and physical well-being, emotional well-being, self-determination, knowing one's rights, and feeling included. So again, there was a relationship that was going to be determined between quality of life and self-determination. And what they found out was that the more individuals with disabilities felt included and integrated into the community, there was an increase in self-determination skills. And this actually led to their view of having a better quality of life and well-being. So that is the purpose of what we are going to be exploring today in this presentation. So let's take a look here at community-based instruction. So you see 2 pictures here. The one on the right has my students, and they're in the communications department, and they are looking at broadcasting. They're looking into cameras, they're reading scripts, they're recording themselves, and they are just really having a great time. And these are skills that they could eventually learn so that they could carry out into the community. So it's school-based, but what it is that we are trying to teach them to eventually apply what they're learning outside the school setting. We want to generalize the skills with support of well-trained staff, and we want to prepare students for the integrated employment opportunities. So on the left, as you can see, we are taking students outside of the school, and this is actually a picture of our students at Habitat for Humanity, along with an educational assistant. And you can see the person on the right is one of our teachers who is modeling what to do in the warehouse. They did more than roll carpets. They did tagging, they did cleaning, and they did a lot of different warehouse work, and it gave them a lot of really good experience. So it's really important that community-based instruction, that we have an understanding that it generalizes job, academic, and social skills beyond the school, or any type of instructional setting that will eventually prepare students to engage in community-based activities that will lead to integrated employment. So let's go into part one. So part one really focuses on the person, teachers, child study team, and also families as well, which you can see that my video is sort of covering that. But you can see that it is broken down into 6 portions here. So the first one is, what is the person's, who is the student, the client, the loved one's vision? Okay, that information is provided by the person. So there's a P there. How can goals and objectives be developed in the person's transition plan? So that will take not just the person, but it will take counselors, child study team, and family all coming together with developing those goals and objectives in that IEP. Number 3, what assessments can be measured to determine progress? This is where teachers come into play, and they could be a real valuable resource to the child study team and counselors, so that they could be able to help with those transition goals and objectives. Who can we partner with to support community-based instruction projects? So we've got the person, we have families and counselors, all just really coming together to help make that happen. And what community-based activities can align with the person's plan? So teachers and counselors can help coordinate together to help make that work. And then how can a community support system work together to best support the person? And that's everybody. So the first thing is we want to find out, what is the person's vision? There's so many awesome activities that I love to implement as a teacher into the classroom. We have done vision boards. We've done All About Me templates for science, mission statements for social studies, I Am Poetry for English language arts. All About Me could be language arts. I've used it for social studies. Having a good life. What does it mean to have the pursuit of happiness? And doing a Google slide presentation on that. The 5-star method, where the person will figure out like who is part of the community, who helps them in school, who helps them with the family, who helps them outside of school. So it's really interesting, and it's a really neat project. And also journal entries. And also, of course, as you see, there's a North Star, the North Star activity. All these resources will be on my website so that you may be able to glean from that. So 2, make a plan of goals and objectives. So step one, gathering information from the person to find their strengths, preferences, and interests. You could use questionnaires, interviews, interest surveys, and look for patterns. When you see that there's a commonality there, you could come up with a goal and then the objectives that will help to carry out the goal. And how are we going to do that? So step two would be just to choose a couple of goals and then the objectives, how to achieve those goals. So I have an example here. So a goal, students will demonstrate the ability to maintain a job within the school or community and understand employee benefits. I put the age group, that was significant for 12th graders. They will demonstrate, this is the objective, will demonstrate an understanding of good interpersonal relationship skills and will evaluate one's work performance by commenting on work habits. And then that's where the assessments come in that will show evidence that the goals are being achieved. So the transition plan is an ongoing process, and it is subject to change as the person develops throughout their high school years and beyond. And I also want to add in there that it shouldn't fall on just one person. It isn't just the responsibility of the guidance counselor or the case manager or the transition coordinator or the DVR counselor. It's everybody working together for the common good of the person. So that's something that we really need to keep in mind, because it really needs to be a team effort if it's going to really be effective. So when you have transition planning meetings, transition planning must address the planning capabilities and needs of students with disabilities and their families. The transition planning approaches should be person-centered, self-determined, and career-oriented. So 4 essential elements of transition planning would be: number 1 is based on the student's needs, interests, and strengths. 2, results-oriented process using those SMART goals. And 3, coordinated set of activities. And 4, promoting movement to post-school activities. So the goal is we want to be able to prepare them for life after high school. So what assessments can be used to measure progress? Well, as you see here, we have our students. They're working actually at the South Jersey Food Bank. And this young lady here is graduated a few years ago. What she did was she was helping in the assembly line, and she was packing boxes, and she was helping to organize food. She was working as a team. She did a lot along with her peers. So you can measure progress in so many ways. We have the job sampling skills assessment that we would use. We especially used that when we did our job rotations throughout the school. Self-assessments. We have our community-based project rubric. Likert scales, which assesses the worksite assessment, and surveys, gathering information packet. Again, these resources are on my website. Please feel free to take a look at them. And 4, community support and partnerships. I think the one thing that's really important is, we all really would love to be able to just get back and just start working with businesses. We've had some really wonderful businesses that really do support students with disabilities. We have Wawa is really great. We have just so many. We've had Planet Fitness. We've had Becker's. And I think that our school has done a really fabulous job. They work very hard for our students. However, like I said, because of the pandemic, it's been very challenging. So, we're not alone. And all I can say to you is to be self-forgiving and don't be so hard on yourself, and start small. It's okay. And actually, that's what we did. We started small. We started off connecting with an elementary school. So you see the student on the right, he's reading books to elementary students. So he's outside of the high school, but he was still in the school district. So he was in a controlled, safe environment that gave him some practice. And then the young lady on the left is helping out in a nursing home. So again, she was working with activities and crafts and projects. So these work-based experiences, it's really important that it's to think small before going big. You want to make connections and collaborate with community employers, agencies, and nonprofits. You could break barriers and build bridges. I know that one of the barriers is the fear of costs with employers, but it's very interesting. Actually, 73% of employers say that it takes less than $500 to be able to accommodate a student with disabilities. So really, I mean, if you could try to present those facts, that would really maybe help to get a change of heart. And also, I call this sell the sizzle. Tell them, the future employers and other businesses, the benefits of having students with disabilities involved. They're part of the community. And that partnership, both entities benefit. And so, you know, they have committed employees with a desire to work, and then they're motivated. They really, really are. So, so when you have these work-based experiences, there's some strategies for best practices. As you see here on the right, I have the educator's role is to offer ideas for supports and services that respect individual goals and preferences and allows for a transition to adulthood. The key word here is safely. And I think that that's something, again, that's very important. That's why we start small and we go big. You know, we start off in school and then we generalize outside of school. So as you can see, this woman is instructing the students at Habitat for Humanity before they even go into the warehouse. They've been prepped on work safety rules, how to properly lift, how to follow instruction. They have to have the knowledge of these skills before they could even go out. So some strategies that we've used Carol Gray's social stories framework, which is great for priming students about certain social skills before going out. We have Garcia's social mapping. She really lays out a lot of social skills in different areas in different settings. Dr. Miles' hidden curriculum also has a very nice breakdown of appropriate behaviors in certain settings. The social autopsy is a great way to do a post-assessment, especially if maybe something didn't work out right on the job. And you would ask the students, say, you know, well, what happened? What could we do that's differently? Who was affected? How were you influenced by that? And what could we do differently next time? So social autopsies is a great strategy to use for students. Service learning projects. We got a lot out of our service learning projects. We would start to do a service learning project in the school. One was we did a toiletry drive for veterans. So the students, they created the project. They did the posters, they did the marketing, they had the boxes, they organized everything, they put all of the items in the boxes, they packed everything up, and then we would take whatever we got from the students and the school personnel, and we brought it to home for the break. So that's just one of just a few of the service learning projects that our students have done. And again, it's like we're starting in the school, and then those skills can be generalized for Habitat for Humanity, the South Jersey Food Bank, and those nonprofit organizations. Another really neat thing that I really do love to do is Lego social skills groups. If you have knowledge of how to do that, it's really a fabulous intervention for counselors, and teachers could do it too. The students really could use technology. They're applying language arts skills. They're using their creative edge and applying, like I said, they're applying technology. And so that's another good way to start something in the school and then carry it out to something else. So again, our goal is we want to develop those transferable and employable skills. Some prompting methods that I've used on the job has been fading prompts, which to help foster independence. I've done like the hierarchy of prompting. Physical prompting, you really don't want to do that. Sometimes you might have to do a hand over hand, but verbal prompting, and then eventually you want to fade out gesture, and then, you know, just that gradual release of responsibility. You really want to see them be able to gain that independence. Data collection on mastery of skills. Sometimes it might even have to be on a trials basis. Generalizing skills to larger settings, I've mentioned that. Having a task analysis of breaking down jobs and tasks into different components. So these are all things, and also, yes, a visual schedule as well. That is another very good strategy that I have used with my students that you could use when you are doing it in the school or doing the community-based instruction outside of the school setting. Some job skills would be interviewing for a job, time management, prioritizing with to-do lists, role play scenarios, video recording of social skills with permission, of course, work safety, and now we have to think of COVID protocols as well. So what are some guidelines to a successful community-based instruction project? Well, first, you need to know the objective of what you expect students to learn. What do you want to get out of this? What is the goal? What activity do you have planned that will back up that objective? So it might mean, it might be a job shadowing, it might be job coaching, it might be job sampling. Where will they go? One thing I will say, make sure that wherever you go, be there first. Don't try going on a trip and you haven't been there yet. It's tempting, I'm sure, but I really highly recommend that you do that. What instructional strategies will be needed to fit the students' needs? You could implement job carving, job sharing, prompting, different cues. They might need to learn self-regulation. That's very important too. And also monitoring. What obstacles do you encounter? Well, safety is one that is an obstacle. It might be traffic. When you're going to get there. Is it going to be a heavy traffic time? What kind of noises are the students that they can anticipate? Is it going to be a noisy place? Maybe that person does not do very well with noises. What about parking? There's all kinds of things that you need to consider before even venturing off onto a community-based project outside of the school. I remember we did the light rail and we were doing mobility training, and wow, that was really pretty exciting. I'll tell you, we had the bus took the students to the train station. We had a task analysis sheet along with some money, and we have the students follow the task analysis sheet for each step of how to get their ticket to get them on. We prime them with the different steps of what they could expect through a social story. And then we actually, our goal was to get to Trenton. So we went to Trenton and we had the students, they had lunch, and then we were going to go back again. Well, one of the things that we did not prepare was what direction we were going to go in once we got off the train. That was very important. And the other thing was there were some social skills that we realized that the students didn't realize, like we didn't even realize until we got there. We're like, okay, we don't talk to strangers. And so we had to actually do a reflection of what do we need to do differently. And it was very telling. It was very telling. So we learn as we go. And I just remember that was one project that it was successful, but then we also learned that there were areas that we needed improvement. So again, what social skills are needed? How will you prepare students? And again, we talked about the different self-analysis and different assessments. So self and group reflections, I think, is good. One thing that my co-teacher and I would like to do is we would do a group reflection, and we would discuss with the students and ask them, well, what do you think worked? What do you think didn't work? What do you think we can improve for next time? And you think we ought to do this trip again? Maybe there might be a different type of activity they may like to try. Is this type of job or wherever it was that we went to suitable, that complemented the students' strengths? There were some students, we did one community-based instruction where we went to the Medal of Honor Grove at the Freedoms Foundation, and they did a really wonderful job at volunteering to help clean up the grove. We learned that some students, that didn't work for them. They did not like it, and they will not ever go back again. And that was okay. They learned it, they tried. And then there were some students that said, I think I could really do landscaping. I was like, wow, that's really great. So it's all like learning as we go. And it's really, really cool. So what are some helpful tips? So you have to assess what works versus what doesn't work. And for the student or the person. Also to find a match of student strengths to prospective job placements of training. Very helpful to go to the job place beforehand, and you already should know your student. You've already gathered a lot of that information from them. I know that maybe John does not do well working in a slow working place, but maybe he does better in an assembly line working in a faster work environment. Generalizing skills out into the community. Again, we say we start small and safe before going large and in charge. And provide and monitor training for support staff. That's real important. It's really important to give your support staff, teaching them what does it mean to prompt, what does it mean to take data collection, teaching them different behavior modification strategies, and also how to be flexible to each student's learning style. So 5, how can assessments reflect transition plans? Well, we could do self-assessments. We have, this really is a cool resource. It is the Independent Living Apps. It's by Google Play. It's really a neat thing where students can actually download an app for different things that will help them. And that's a way that they could self-regulate and self-monitor themselves. the college or post-secondary education assessments, person-centered thinking and planning tools, learning styles assessments, and transition assessment matrix. And again, these are just some um, really neat resources that I found were very interesting. I'm going to try to click this. Oh boy. This is what the assessment looks like with the different apps. So, and some of these apps are free. So it'd be really helpful for the person that, depending on whether it's driving, cleaning, or what have you. So technology has really come a long way in helping our population of students. And then also the transition assessment matrix, I thought was really great because you can actually formulate your own type of assessment. So if I go into, I believe it was like right here. Transition assessment matrix. And when you go, oh, okay, down a little bit further. So you could choose your domain. So like just say, for example, I want to do independent living for grade levels 11 to 12. And see, select for high support needs assessments. So, so here I've got volunteer experience reflection. So I click this assessment and it just pops right up. So again, these are really great assessments that you could use, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a counselor or child study team, that will help complement your transition plans. So let me go back to here. So again, I will have this information, the transition assessment matrix, on my website for you to have that. So again, this is vital information, is for the case managers. What I've done is, especially with the pandemic, we've done Google Share folders, and I shared it out to all the case managers. So they could actually, when it's time for them to do their class or their assessments, they could actually go back and they could look at some of the activities that the students have done with us in the classroom. So it was really good to embed a lot of these assessments into a portfolio. It's great to have the person-centered planning activities into a portfolio. So it really does help the counselors. Okay, so and then 6, how to include the local and school community. You can reach out to nonprofit organizations. We've reached out to nursing homes. We've reached out to South Jersey Food Bank, Habitat for Humanity, the Home for the Brave. There's a lot of people out there that really have needs, and would really welcome students to come in and help out. Community service opportunities, local businesses, just by right around your school. By all means, definitely make those connections and network. Colleges and universities, school club advisors. One thing I found that was very helpful is connecting with other school advisors. So I'm an advisor to our gospel choir, and I just found that just by connecting with other clubs and other advisors, we're all working together, and it really helps a lot. We have another club called the Indian Green Club, and we were working together with them to help with our greenhouses, and that was a really fun thing that the students got to do, and they learned a lot from it. And we're really looking forward to trying to hopefully get that back going again. departments with the school community. So we would connect with the guidance department, the maintenance department, the food services department. Um, we would try to just whatever it was, like if we were able to connect with, believe it or not, one really good one ended up being the music department. They need flyers. They needed, even if we were putting little bags of popcorn together and designing a label for it for their play. I mean, we did that. Our students did that. Um, Library media specialists, boy, I'll tell you, they need a lot of help. They really do. And they're just so welcoming. We've been very, very thankful for our media specialist. She's just been great. CTE instructors, another really great idea where you can connect with the culinary, cosmetology, just going in there and being able to take maybe just part of the day, part of their class period. And our students was helping the CTE instructors cleaning everything and organizing. And even though they weren't officially in a CTE program, they did work along with the CTE instructors. And in fact, our culinary instructor started teaching the students how to cook, and then he started teaching them how to cater. So our students were able to work with non-disabled students catering different events. Observe programs that have other transition programs. So I think it's really good to just watch each other. Maybe you can invite one school to see your program, and maybe you could go see their program, and just really like try to work together and get ideas from each other. And so again, this is a lot of work. It is a lot of work, but it's a good work, and it's just, it really benefits the students, and it's very, very rewarding.